What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. This is a crypto pump live stream because, I mean, crypto's pumping, right? If this is a bear market, but that green candle right there, this is ADA. That's a pump. I'm going to talk about those green candles in this video. I want to discuss the importance from a mental aspect on how we should be looking at these green candles. We can enjoy them. I think they're good for morale. I want to just take a quick look at a Bitcoin green candle. This is a daily chart. This is what's going on in Bitcoin. Now, it's no surprise we have altcoins kind of pumping a little bit more than Bitcoin. Cardano up, I guess, around 8%. XRP around 10%. You have, let's see, here we go, Matic. We know what's going on with Matic and their NFTs and the meta news up around 21%. We've got Cody up around 9%. So altcoins pumping. So we have to kind of step back before we look at these charts, and we're going to look at these charts. Let's go back to the Bitcoin chart and just figure out why. Why are altcoins pumping? Why is crypto pumping? First things first, here's one of the main headlines today. Dow opens 300 points higher as Wall Street weighs a better than expected jobs report. So you go over to S&P 500, and here is a daily chart on the S&P 500. Now we're kind of like, okay, this is what is kind of spurring the pump for crypto. It's right here. It is the US dollar currency index falling. This is what is basically moving crypto markets up. So how good does this chart look though? This is the US dollar currency index consolidating. Nothing has broken. There's no bearish confirmations on this chart in the immediate short term. And real quick, I know we got some Matic fans in here. We're going to look at a Matic chart, Matic news. I know we got some Cody fans in here as well. But there's been no bearish confirmation on this DXY chart. And that's a big deal because, you know, we're getting moves like this. S&P 500, this is a daily chart. This isn't even that impressive. And I do not like to sound negative in crypto pumps, especially because I enjoy when we're moving up. Whether we're in a bear market or bull market, doesn't matter. I enjoy when crypto is putting in those green candles. We're sitting here on a live stream. This is like my first live stream in a while, trying to just get back into it. I enjoy it. But this is if we're going to just, again, like the other day I was discussing, just bringing in some realism to the charts. That's what I want to do. So we can have good morale. We can feel good about the green candles, but let's just talk about it. This is S&P 500. This is a stock market. This is a daily chart. The green candle, not that impressive. Go to a weekly chart and we can wait for confirmations and maybe get a little bit more excited from a macro standpoint. But if we're looking at the weekly chart, here's the 20-week moving average. You can see S&P 500. Most recently, that resistance below. We're about to close this week, right? And right now, as we're about to close this week, so far, S&P right around 3% from that 20-week moving average resistance. I know there's probably a lot of people out there like, man, this live stream's lame. This video's lame. Talk bullish. Talk bullish. And we're going to talk a little bullish, but I just want to just bring in some realistic perspective and data to the charts before we do. So that's happening right now. But, and I want to underline this video with this, because over the years, and it's not just crypto, everybody, but over the years, I learned something in life. It's all mental. It's all perspective. It's all how you're looking at things. And if you're not using and utilizing every data point to have the mental perspective to approach life, to approach business, to approach relationships, to approach crypto charts, if you're not using all of the data to approach those things mentally, you're going to be off and you're going to get just kind of swept off your feet eventually because you're not prepared. So that's kind of why I have these mentalities, and this is why I talk about these things. This is Graham Stephan over here. This is a couple days ago. A crisis is an opportunity riding a dangerous wind. More than 90% of CEOs are bracing for a recession. So just some reminders here. The stock market could fall another 20%, JP Morgan. The worst is yet to come, IMF. And here's the actual headline. This is in October 11th. IMF cuts global growth forecast for next year, warns the worst is yet to come. We're not even in 2023 yet, right? So we're in 2022, and many people bracing for 2023 to be the year where it just gets really chilly, right? We've especially as a crypto market, as crypto holders, you and I have endured so much. I mean, we've been through a crypto bear market. We're in it right now. And it started like over a year ago, really, if you think about it. And we're surviving that. But we're not even at the end of 2022 yet. And so we have headlines like this. Moonvember kicks off with sweeping staff layoffs across crypto. So now we can start kind of looking at the short term a little bit, the midterm. We can talk about Moonvember. We can talk about rallies. We can talk about bear market rallies. We can enjoy them from a morale perspective. And we have days like today, which is where we are, and we're getting a move to the upside. But we just want to be careful with it, and that's kind of what I wanted to start this video with. Probably lost a bunch of you out there by doing that, but it's all good. So here's what we're looking at. This is Bitcoin. We know what's going on in Bitcoin. I'm not going to spend too much time on Bitcoin, but for context, we have Bitcoin. It's broken out of this triangle. This daily candle was October 25th, end of October, not that long ago. And we've since seen the move to the upside. What we've been discussing, and we've been discussing the breakouts, before it even happened, we've been discussing the potential for the throwback after the rally is over. So first question is, for myself, will this rally be over? There's a lot of people out there that are kind of like, dude, this is it. The bottom is in. We're starting to climb our way out of the bear market. And I've maintained this opinion that that's not, I don't think that's true. And this is my take on the market. This is how I'm viewing things. That's what I'm doing here. I'm tracking my thoughts on the screen. That's all we're doing here. And my view has been, there's definitely the case we get the breakout, which we did. And there's definitely a case we get a rally and then a throwback. So what does the rally potentially look like? We talked about it briefly in a video the other day, this 200-day moving average for Bitcoin sitting around $25,000, very consistent with, resistance up to around $24,000 on the weekly chart. This is the 200-week moving average. You can see Bitcoin right now, 20-week moving average being broken. That's definitely a good sign. But remember, on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, this red line, the 200-week moving average, this is an area where Bitcoin in these previous bear markets, and I'm going to zoom out here, these previous bear markets, Bitcoin did not break below. Bitcoin saw support at those areas. So there's 2018, and you go all the way back here. Here's 2015, kind of when that moving average started. So you can see Bitcoin seeing support at the area. Now we're in this scenario where we're in a bear market, and Bitcoin is actually below that area and contesting with that area as resistance. So let's really start putting in perspective here. So resistance to the upside, we're looking at another 12% for Bitcoin to test that area. And then if Bitcoin somehow, if this rally is that strong and actually breaks that area, right, eventually over the coming weeks, then we have this scenario where we have to start looking, can it hold support at the 200-week moving average? This is a long game, everybody. These rallies, we could see 30% rallies, 40% rallies, 50% rallies, especially with altcoins, and it can all come back down. And this can be a multi-month move. This can be an extremely volatile move when it comes to our emotions in the middle of this bear market. So we're really zoomed in, but if we're looking at the macro, you can see how the volatility could play out. We're breaking through the 200-week moving average, and then we have to test it, and then it actually falls, and then we're going back down. This is going to go on for a while. I truly think it will, not to mention the 50-day moving average up around $32,000. So before we even start talking about bull market confirmations and exiting the bear market, there is a ton of resistance ahead for Bitcoin on the macro. So I just wanted to point that out. And then we can start diving in. So here's ADA. I think what is the title of this video? ADA, XRP and ADA clawing their way to resistance, because that's what's happening here. It's a great move, right? We look at ADA on, let's actually go to the daily chart to get a glimpse of this. From October, towards the end of October, we have this move for ADA from 33 cents to where it is right now, 27% move. Can't complain with a 27% move, right? Those are good moves, but we're in the middle of a bear market, and ADA hasn't even begun to really approach or test resistance. And so that's something we really need to keep in mind. So it's a nice move. even right now in the last couple of days or last few days, whatever you want to call it, you can just see up around 10%. That's a nice move. But even on the short term, and this is actually a 6-hour chart, even on the short term, we take this previous swing high where ADA actually did kind of test that trend line of this triangle that we've been tracking. If you take that swing high to this previous swing low, you can see ADA right now, actually, as we do this video, testing its first short-term resistance. So not only is there short-term resistance, there's mid-term resistance, there's macro resistance, there's a ton of resistance for ADA. ADA just now starting to test resistance. So this is a 6-hour chart, and you can see the resistance. It's a lower high Fibonacci, the 618 sitting at around 41, just over 41 cents, which is basically where it is, to the 786 around 42.5 cents. So in the immediate short term, meaning today, how does ADA interact with this area? It's a very small range. If we look at from where ADA is right now to this 786 line, it's like a 2% range. So very small range, and though small, acting, I think, as a bit of resistance already, immediately. So, but let's digress from the 6-hour chart for a second. Let's change it over here to a daily chart, and let's check this out. So we just looked at that green box of resistance. That's kind of where we are right now. And it's kind of like, okay, wow. So ADA still has all of this above. That is the more midterm. That is the more macro resistance. So even if ADA breaks this short-term resistance, we have this lower trend line of the triangle sitting around 45 cents we have to contend with. And then we have the upper trend line. Excuse me, everybody. You all know my voice is shot from being sick last week. So we have the upper trend line sitting at around 48 to 49 cents. So a lot of resistance right there for ADA to even start putting in any type of bullish confirmation to the upside. So again, resistance, ADA clawing its way to resistance. And we're going to continue tracking how that plays out for ADA. Go over to an XRP chart. 49.50 cents on XRP right now. On the weekly, the biggest thing that I've just been watching is this 200-week moving average. Look at the resistance for XRP over here, right in that 48, 49 cent range. How will the weekly chart close for XRP is my biggest question. Couple days left. Will it close above or below the 200? We have the 50-week moving average sitting at around 50 cents, or I'm sorry, 57 cents. We go over here. That is confluent almost with this area of resistance for XRP. So ADA clawing its way to resistance. XRP, I would say, clawing its way to resistance as well. And so we have this resistance area right here. So it's this upper trend line of this channel, right around 55 cents, and this trend line right around 57 cents, 58 cents, I should say, for 58, 59 cents up here for XRP. So this entire area, an area of resistance, we zoom out on the XRP chart on the daily. This is what I'm looking at. This is that trend line going all the way back here to April, well, when XRP was, almost $2. So that trend line on the macro is right there. Again, XRP clawing its way up to this shorter term resistance and then ultimately that resistance. So this could all just be for crypto markets as a whole. It doesn't matter if you're looking at Bitcoin, Cardano, whatever. This could be a lower high. And so that is like my biggest thing right now, because again, there's not been any macro bearish confirmation on the US dollar currency index. We want to see this weak. We want to see this fall. We want to see this bearish for risk on assets like crypto to start really making some upside. And it hasn't happened yet on the US dollar currency index. And then again, the S&P 500 stock market right now, nothing blowing my mind in terms of amazing bullishness, everybody. It's just not happening for me on the zoomed out chart. So when we're looking at and we're dissecting these crypto charts, it's like, it's nice to get a green candle. It's nice to get green days. We're going to track it. We're definitely going to track, and there goes my side camera. We're going to track, bullish confirmations if they happen on the macro, I should say. That we can have bullish confirmations all day long on hourly charts or 15-minute charts, but we're going to track them on the hourly or on the weekly. They just haven't happened yet. So I think the biggest thing that we really should track, and I wanted to note this because Matic is really giving a good example. We're in a bear market, and I think tracking fundamentals of any crypto, doesn't matter what crypto you're into, tracking fundamentals and seeing what's being built and seeing what kind of foundation and platform is being laid, what kind of groundwork is being laid for the next bull market, that is huge. That is going to help us gauge which coins are going to offer the best opportunity in terms of gains. In my view, that's my approach here. I'm looking at these things. I talk about Cardano all the time because I think Cardano is at the top of the list. I think Cardano is at the top of the list in terms of the platform that's being built, the system that is being built to onboard billions. And that really comes from decentralization, a security, a scalability perspective. It took a while, but Cardano really getting there in that regard. Now we have other things, and this is like these little mini news pieces that happen for other cryptos, right? Matic, you all might have seen the latest leg higher could be attributed to Web2 giant Meta's decision to launch a toolkit allowing users of social media platform Instagram to mint and sell Polygon-powered non-fungible tokens or digital collectibles. Polygon is the first partner that Meta has chosen for the new feature. That's epic. Like that's huge news for something like Matic, right? And so, and not only is it good news for the chart, right? We go back to the Matic chart. You see that move kind of illustrated on the chart, but it's just generally, if you're going to zoom out on this Matic chart, zoomed out, it's just generally good for Matic and Polygon as a whole, right? So those are the things I think in the bear market, it's fine. We can track green candles. It's fine. We can really ponder and talk about, hey, when is this bear market going to be over? But these are the things that I really think are going to really help us get a guide, right? We talk about roadmaps all the time. When we look at these charts, the charts act as roadmaps for us in visualizing what we're going to do. But I think these foundational, fundamental things happening for different blockchains really will act as also a roadmap and a guide for, hey, where do I want to allocate? And that's what I'm doing. Where do I want to allocate getting ready for that next bull run? I go back to a Bitcoin chart and I'm like, okay, when things like this is happening, right? And this is what I ask myself. I truly do. When things like that in like Matic, bullish things, Cardano, XRP, right? All these amicus briefs coming out, XRP. We see all of this good news for the Ripple case. When that's happening, I go back to the Bitcoin chart and I say, okay, how much time do I have? And this is what I'm doing. This is my approach here. I go back to the Bitcoin chart because Bitcoin is my time frame roadmap. Bitcoin is like my cycle roadmap. It's not like because I'm looking at Bitcoin charts all the time to be like, I need to accumulate Bitcoin. It's truly, I just want to be very upfront. That's really not my priority at all, accumulating Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin chart is a priority for me in my altcoin approach. So I go to the Bitcoin chart. I'm like, how much time do we have here? And I continue. And we just did a video about time frame the other day. I continue to think we have some time. And so I'm evaluating altcoin markets. I'm evaluating when things like this Matic news, this Matic news happens, and I'm collecting that data to make my decision on what altcoins I want to have in my portfolio for the next bull market when it happens, and for when this bear market is maybe capitulating, if that's going to happen, right? So we even just did this the other day, this swing low from 2018 to the all-time high. We know this Fibonacci is this area where crypto has fallen into, right? So date range wise, if you just want to look at this green area, this green Fibonacci, we've been in that area for around 147 days. We go back and we go to the last cycle and we chart the same exact Fibonacci. So now we're 2015 to 2018 high. And then we say, okay, how long was Bitcoin in that area before it exited? And we're looking at actually 280 days before it exited that area, right around 280 days. So right now, we've been in the area for 147 days. So when I start really watching bear market bottoms, for me, I say, okay, there's a lot of time left. I think there's a lot of time left. We're going to have these rallies. We could potentially have amazing swing highs, right? I mean, we're talking Bitcoin could be at $27,000. Bitcoin could be testing this 618 line up around $28,000. people at that time could be talking about bear market's over, bull market getting ready to hit. Here we go. You're going to see a lot of hype headlines. That could happen. And then boom, we're still trickling sideways. So I'm evaluating the length of time of this bear market as I watch all of these altcoins and what they're building and what they're doing. And so I'm going to continue doing that. And I think it's the best thing that we can do is just prepare for every single scenario. And, you know, this is nice. This feels good doing this live stream with y'all. I appreciate you. We got some ADA people in here. Look at that. Go ADA. We got XRP. How's everybody doing out there? My voice, man. My voice is shot. We got like, what do we got? 600 some people on a first time back live stream. That's not terrible. Only 152 likes. You guys are killing me with the YouTube algorithms. That's not going to help. Hit that like button for me, everybody. Man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just waiting for 2024. And that's my thought. Like 2024. Somebody says, I'm in disbelief. Listen, I don't think I'm in disbelief. I think I'm just taking data, taking experience from previous cycles and applying it to this cycle. I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong. I mean, I don't think this move on the crypto chart is anything to disbelieve. There's nothing spectacular, in my view, on this Bitcoin chart that has happened. I mean, it's a green week in a bear market, but there's been no bullish confirmations for me to disbelieve. You know, one thing I will say is I don't know how many of you were here, but in the last bull market, man, we took the opposite of this Fibonacci, these bear market Fibonaccis, not so fun to track compared to bull market, but we took swing high, all-time high to the bear market low. And I don't know if you were here. If you were here, hit the like button right now if you remember breaking these bull market doors. So that's the flip side of what we're talking about. This green Fibonacci resistance, that's the bull market doors broken in November 2020. I can't wait to get there again. So if we're looking at Bitcoin chart to look at those bull market doors, swing high so far to swing low, maybe that's the lowest we go. Maybe we go lower. Either way, the bull market door is likely to be right around here, right? Even if Bitcoin is actually going to put in another low, they're going to be right around here. Bull market doors, 57. So let's just actually call it around 58,000 to 49,000. Those are the bull market doors. So just look how far away, and I'm going to do a video on this. Look how far away Bitcoin is from that. I mean, it's over 130, 170% from the 786 bull market doors. So almost 200% before we're putting in those bull market door, bull market confirmations, right? So we're gonna have a long journey ahead for that to happen. And we have, while that's happening, just, you know, headlines like this. The worst is yet to come. The worst is yet to come for many people. 2023 will feel like a recession, the report reads. So I don't talk about these things trying to be negative, everybody. If you know me, you know I'm not negative. You know I'm extremely bullish. I talk about these things so we can have some mental stamina through the bear market, because I remember the last bear market, and I remember doing videos every day throughout the last bear market. It's tough stuff. And not only just doing videos, it's just tough stuff being in the crypto bear market. And I just know for a fact, last bear market in 2018, when we were tracking very similar charts, all of this stuff that's happening in the world right now, it was not happening then. And so I just want us to be prepared. I want to be prepared from a mental perspective. I want to have some mental stamina. So that's just kind of my approach, everybody. And I really appreciate all of you here with me as we kind of go through it. Alberto Fuego, I appreciate you, man. Derek Darby says, hit the like. Sarana says, we love you. I love you. I appreciate all of you. It feels good to be back on a live stream. I want to do it more often. It's just, there's so much going on, and I got to get in the groove with it, everybody. I'll tell you one thing. In the bull market, when we were consistently like breaking all-time highs, those live streams were fun. And it was a little bit more motivating to get on a live stream. So those are my thoughts on crypto markets today. I hope it gave some perspective. It's my approach, everybody. Again, it's just my approach to these markets. This is just how I see the charts. This is how I view things. But you can just see, glancing at the weekly on Cardano ADA, 20-week moving average. And actually, for context, once more on ADA, I just want to put this out there. From that lower trend line, 6 to 7% away from resistance. From the 20-week moving average, around 10% from that resistance. From the upper trend line and that macro dotted yellow line, we didn't even talk about that, around 16% to even test those resistance areas. And then lastly, from the 200-week moving average, 40%. ADA is 40% just about from the 200-week moving average. And then lastly, XRP. And let me get rid of this. This was from a video the other day. We were talking about the move that's kind of happening right now the other day. But right now, from that upper trend line, XRP, right around 10% from the shorter term upper trend line resistance, and the longer term around 20% for XRP. So you can just see how crypto rallies and bear markets, they can happen, but it doesn't necessarily give us any type of bullish confirmation. Maybe it gives us some good morale, and that's all good. But we have to track it closely, and we have to be realistic as we watch these things. And so that's what I'm doing. So everybody, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming by. On the way out, hit the like button. It means a lot. Those YouTube algorithms, they don't make it easy on us YouTubers. They really don't. So I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Let's continue tracking the markets, even on the short term, because you know we all are. And just have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.